Hey guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments on YouTube. Today we are going to be talking about two items in particular that sold through Heritage Auctions recently on November 20th, 2020 of this year for an insane amount. And I just want to give my take on these two particular items and a warning for you guys that are buying into this market haphazardly. A lot of speculators are coming into the market for graded video games and also Pokemon, which ties into this, as you're going to see in a minute here. So I just want to give my 2 cents onto why you really have to be cautious, especially in the market for a lot of these vintage 9.8 graded video games, which is what we're going to be talking about today. But before I get to that, I do want to give a shout out to another YouTuber out there who I most admire, and it's Rudy with Alpha Investments. Rudy did a video where he talked about Pokemon, and the video is actually called Pokemon Flipping, I'm Warning Everybody, where he talks about the fact that Pokemon, especially mass-produced modern era cards and products right now, are extremely speculative. And the video is like 17 minutes long, but it is a video that any would-be Pokemon speculator, flipper, or investor should really watch and tune into, because he is 100% right in his analysis in that video. This is something I have been warning you guys literally for over a year now on this channel. When I talk about Pokemon, I tell you it is a very hot speculative market. Be very careful. I've said this before. In my opinion, a lot of the vintage Pokemon products at present time are overvalued tremendously in the marketplace. I'm not saying they're going to crash. I'm not saying they're going to go to zero. Most likely what will happen is at some point, some of those particular items will go up a little bit in value. Other items will start to correct, and the market overall will undergo a correction. I don't know whether that's going to happen 6 months from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I don't have a crystal ball, guys, but I see the writing on the wall. And in this particular video that Rudy with Alpha Investments did, he eloquently defined why it is inherently risky. And he did it in such a way where really he wasn't insulting to the Pokemon community. You know, I give him a lot of credit for that. He brought up a great point in that video where he talks about he sees all these box opening videos and he sees people like ordering a pallet of Pokemon cards and it's dropped off in front of like their apartment complex, and they're literally carrying up boxes of Pokemon to the top floor of their apartment where they're going to open it. And you go into the apartment and it's covered in Pokemon cards. And Rudy even asked the question in that video, dude, no offense, but you rent an apartment and you're putting all your money in Pokemon cards. What are you thinking? And I agree 100% with that analysis. So I just want to give a shout out to another YouTuber out there. I know he doesn't need the publicity. Rudy has something like 250,000 subscribers, but I still would recommend all of you out there, even if you're into just video games, even if you're on the antique side of the equation, just check out that video on his channel. Again, it was uploaded fairly recently, and it's called Pokemon Flipping, I'm Warning Everybody. It is a great video. Now that I've said all that, today we're going to be talking about graded video games and Pokemon. Aren't you guys lucky? So there's two auctions that I want to talk about in depth that were featured on Heritage Auctions in regards to graded Pokemon video games. Now, if you guys spend any time on this channel, I am a very big critic of factory sealed graded vintage video games and the prices they are achieving at present time. There's a lot of people out there that are manipulating this market, that are trying to make this market more than what it is. And as a result, they want these items to be the next big thing. Well, if you have enough people out there that have a lot of money that enter a collecting category or any market for that reason, it could be a financial market, it could be any market out there, it could be cryptocurrency, it could be gold, silver. Guess what happens? The prophecy comes true. The market does become the next big thing because people spend an insane amount of money on these items and they present it to the masses as an investment, as an investable item. Well, on November 20th of this year, 2020, a Pokemon Red and a Pokemon Yellow, brand new factory sealed game, graded by WATA Games in 9.8 condition. The Pokemon Red sold for $84,000 and the Pokemon Yellow sold for $78,000. Now, here is my warning to anybody out there watching this particular video. What is it that I tell you guys always to worry about when you see a 9.8 copy of a factory sealed video game coming onto the marketplace? Most likely that particular item was pulled from a factory sealed case. That's why it graded so high. That is especially true if you have an item like that with an A+ or an A++ seal rating as graded by WATA Games. Both these items in question meet that criteria. The Pokemon Red that I'm referring to is graded by WATA in 9.8 with an 8++ seal rating. The Pokemon Yellow is also graded 9.8 with an A+ sealed rating. In my opinion, both of these games were most likely pulled from a factory sealed case, which means potentially there's more of these out there in the market that are either graded or getting graded. Now, what's my criticism of WATA right now? They don't release any population reports. We have no way to verify how many copies of Pokemon Red or Pokemon Yellow were graded by WATA in 9.8 condition at present time. Now, I know what you're going to say if you're a critic of mine. You're going to say, Sean, VGA doesn't publish this information. Neither does AFA. And if they do, they haven't updated it in a while. So most likely, rather than picking on WATA, why aren't you criticizing that company as well? I'm criticizing any company that grades something, has a hand in the market, and does not offer transparency on the items they grade by presenting this valuable information to collectors, speculators, and investors. This is something that should be readily available for anybody coming into these markets. And if you're one of my critics out there who comes into the little comment section of every video like this that I do and says, Sean, you don't know what you're talking about. Graded video games are going to be the next big thing. What is it that I tell you guys? You don't know what you're doing, because I guarantee you in the coin collecting space, in the currency collecting space, if any of those top tier companies like NGC, PMG, PCGS, and the like would stop publishing population reports for the items they are grading, a lot of sophisticated investors, collectors, dealers in those markets would literally come at them with pitchforks and torches drawn and literally raise holy hell, guys. I am telling you, it is truly amazing how a lot of you guys can be so misled in a lot of these pop culture collecting markets where you're at the point where rather than criticizing some of these companies and saying, hey, we demand transparency in these markets. You know, you can argue with me all you want. You can go, you know what, Sean? I disagree with you. I really think that some of these video games are going to be worth hundreds of thousands, if not seven figures, 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. And I would say to you, okay, that is your perception. Tell me what you're basing that on. And we can have a very intellectual conversation based on those differences. The problem is, at this particular point, you have no firepower to attack me with because you are protecting a company or companies that do not release population reports for the items that they grade. Do you have any idea from a financial perspective how dangerous that is? Could you imagine tomorrow if you tried to get financial data on Bank of America or Iron Mountain or AT&T stock, and you got access to the 10K report? If you don't know what a 10K report is, just Google it. It's a yearly report that's put out by a company that basically tells their financials. If that company said, I'm sorry, we no longer give financial information to the general public, to the investing public at large, we just believe that the company that we run and the products we produce is so good that every investor out there just wants to own our stock, but we're not going to tell you any of the specifics, the SEC would be on that company's ass like flies on shit. And yes, I just went there. I said that on YouTube. Deal with it. The wonderful ad revenue, whatever I get from this video, if it's affected, I really don't care because the subject matter that I'm stating is important here, guys. Understand, investors, hedge funds, top tier companies, billionaire activist investors would not stand for it. I'm just telling you, that's the way investors operate. They want to have transparency into these markets. So before you go and spend $80, $90, $100,000 for these games, and you look and you go, oh my God, it's a 9.8 condition. I'm going to buy that because chances are a 9.9 or a perfect 10 is never going to be located. You're not thinking realistically. Most likely that 9.8 copy of that game came from a factory sealed case. And guess what? Because you don't have transparency to see how many other copies are out there or potentially can be out there, you are missing a major part of the financial puzzle that you need to make a valid investment in these products. That's all I have for this video. Again, I have nothing against the product or the service that VGA, AFA, or WATA Games brings to the market. I've said this before. I have clients that pay for my opinion as a consultant in the antiques and collectibles trade. If you guys come to me and you say, hey, Sean, I got this factory sealed vintage Nintendo game that I have right here that I think is going to grade an 8.0 or 8.5 or 9.0 or 9.4. Who do you think I should send it to? I'm going to tell you 9 chances out of 10, I'm probably going to tell you to send it to WATA. But overall, WATA Games needs to do a better job being more transparent with the items they are grading. Their product and services are top notch. I have nothing against their grading. I have some of the items that they graded, and in my opinion, they do a spectacular job on the identification and the grading of the items. The problem that I'm having with WATA right now is their business practices. And it extends, I hate to say this, it does extend to VGA and AFA. But overall, WATA is the standard. They're the market leader for grading vintage games. If you want to be the market leader and you put out a great product, hey, I support you 100%. But if you're not being 100% transparent in that market, I have a problem with that. And I wish that more people in these markets would bring that up to WATA because it is a genuine concern. And you guys are shooting yourselves in the foot if you are arguing with someone like me that these markets are going to be the next big thing. And I come at you and I say, okay, tell me, little Timmy, how many copies of Pokemon Yellow are out there in 9.8 condition? And you go, well, Sean, I don't know. There's no population reports. Well, guess what? I invest in coins. I invest in currency. At any given time, I can log on to NGC, PCGS, and I could see what coins they graded in which condition. Now, to be fair, I understand that population reports are not perfect. I get that. But it at least gives you an idea as to how many items are out there overall. And that is information you need as an investor, as a collector, and as a speculator. That's all I have. I hope this video served you well. Have a great night.